Margret Nasra Wilson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Justin. I'm so excited to be here. It's been so long.
I know we're gonna have to take the audience, back to how we first met. But before we jump into that, let's talk about how you don't believe you are what you attract.
My controversial statement that ruffles feathers. So, I don't believe that you are what you attract. I believe that you are what you entertain, what your boundaries are. Because a lot of us don't have a say growing up in who we want to be, where we want to go. And that journey really happens later in life. And I think it becomes very dangerous that we measure our life and our value and our worth based on what comes into our lives. There's so many things that are out of our control. There are some things that are in our control. None of them has anything to do with our worth. It has only something to do with our attention to our boundaries, to what we give energy to, and so on. So, for example, if I'm on this healing journey when it comes to dating, and I've done this a solid year and I'm great and I know how to speak my boundaries and so on, that does not mean that an F boy is not going to come into my life. The difference is, am I going to entertain that F boy like I have in the past, right? If I do, then my boundaries speak to my sense of self-worth, but not who I am as a human being. There's a difference there. When you say you are what you attract, if bad things happen in my life, what did I do wrong? And a lot of people get stuck in that and then they internalize it, right? And we already have a problem with self-worth and insecurities. The last thing we need to do is add another thing to the list about external circumstances. So I don't believe that you are what you attract. I believe you are what you entertain to an extent, and you can change that at any moment. You have a choice to no longer entertain it.
I absolutely love that because that's all about like being the author of your own life, right? So if you're like, you know, something bad happens and you're like, "Oh, poor me. Like I'm a victim. Why'd this happen to me?" Whereas essentially you're saying that like you can choose to either entertain that like unfortunate situation, or you can choose to be like, "Okay, it happened. I'm going to decide what it means, and I'm going to entertain that idea that is empowering to my life journey."
Exactly. How am I going to solve it, right? Because if I'm stuck in my head about, oh, poor me, I'm the victim, why did that happen to me? Where's the opportunity in that, right? And I'm not trying to be toxic. Like some things are so horrific where there's really nothing for you to do, right? Like let's think about Maui. It's a topic right now. You live there, your house burned down, and so on. That's a perfect example of you are not what you attract. You didn't attract that fire. You didn't attract your house to be burnt down, right? There are things that are out of our control. And it's very, very toxic to internalize that. But there's an opportunity on the other side of whatever happens to you. And that's what you should spend your energy on. How am I going to recover from that? How am I going to go over this and come out better, right?
Yeah. That makes me think of how, in Stoic philosophy, they really focus on your internal locus of control. Like essentially the
Mm-hmm.
things that you like, focus your energy and your effort on the things that you control. And like the fact that you brought up Maui, it's like that was completely out of all the residents' like control. Like shit got fucked up. Their houses burned down. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's not in their control. They can't, you know, affect like they can't go redo that, but they can decide like how they're going to move forward in their life in an empowering way. And like
Yeah.
every disaster is like an incredible opportunity for like learning, healing, growth, transformation, and transcendence if you choose to utilize the energy from it to do that.
Exactly. And you know, Justin, in our space, in the personal development space, you know, it's blown up over the last 10 years. And there's a lot of these little phrases that sound great, but then when you like internalize it or translate it, it's like, wait, that's actually not good for me. You know what I mean? It's not good for me to internalize things like that, to make it my fault, you know? And I know that that's never the intent of these phrases, but I think we have to be careful saying things that are catchy, right? Saying things that sound good.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is language dictates consciousness by Nietzsche.
Mm,
And so
I
like
love it.
I'm a stickler and I'm constantly coaching myself. Like I just have to like share this on the podcast. Like when people and I like catch myself saying this as well. When people
Mhm.
say that is sick, I'm like, who wants to be sick? Like
Exactly.
seriously, like I want to be healthy as fuck and vibrant and like
Exactly.
you know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
like just the other weekend, I was like rollerblading with my friends, and we were talking
Hmm.
about like this rollerblade design that my friend was creating, and I literally said, "Oh, that would be sick," and then I was like, "No, that would be healthy as fucking awesome and so rad." Like, why
Yeah.
did I just say that?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I'm like on this mission to like not only like heal myself from saying that, but like as I listen to other people use language that is like really ultimately at the root like
Yeah.
not good, like
Yeah.
we have a chance to elevate our own consciousness, right? And so like I really love this opening because I think there's so much in the personal development world, there's so much in culture
Hmm.
that is actually really unhealthy and unhelpful.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point, everything is energy, right? Everything. Words, me, you, like you introduce yourself with your energy when you walk into the room. So if I'm using words to describe whether that's my future, my present, my past, whatever it is, I want to use high energy words. Not because of toxic positivity, has nothing to do with that. It has something to do with like what am I trying to feed and what am I trying to starve, right?
Mm,
So if I'm speaking things that are naturally like killing something or sickness or illness or something like that, how do I expect anything good to come from that? And I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's like just be mindful of the language that you're using because you want to speak life, not death.
yeah. I That's another one that I'm working on is like when people are like, "Oh, like kill the day or like have a killer workout." I'm like,
Yeah.
like why do we want to kill the day? Why don't we like love the day? Why don't we
Yeah.
like seize the day? Like why don't you know what I mean? And
So many
again,
words you could use.
we we naturally get programmed by society and
Hmm.
whatever dominant themes are happening in society and like this word always trips me up, but like colloquial language,
Hmm.
like whatever is kind of like the hip things to say,
Yeah.
um like we just naturally pick it up without thinking about it. And I think there's an opportunity for myself, for you, for everyone listening to really like analyze the words that we are using, because I
Yeah.
deeply believe, and I'm sure you agree, like the words that we use cast spells in our life that come true.
Yeah. 100%. And because we're already naturally programmed, like our brain is highly negative and not negative because it just wants to sabotage our lives. It is negative because its main job is to protect us. So it makes up stories in the sound of our voice about whatever is happening around us. So when we have this negative language, we're actually training our brain to continue with negative stories, right? Like one of the biggest things that I had to learn is, and it's super cliche, we've all heard it, is like, I'm not my brain. I'm not the voice. I'm not the thoughts in my head, right? It's my brain who has a job to keep me out of danger and discomfort. It cannot tell the difference whether that discomfort that I'm feeling is actually dangerous. It's just like, oh, that doesn't feel good. So let me just make up a story so she will not do the thing, right? And it's the same with the language. We have to teach our brain how to talk to us. We have to teach our brain what to focus on. So we have to be the driver of our brain, not our brain driving us. And all these things that we hear from society, they automatically get logged into our subconscious, right? Our database. So we have to be very careful, not just what we speak, but also who we surround ourselves with and what they're speaking to us.
100%. Yeah, one of my friends who's also like a coach as well, Justin Lovato, he talks about how we have to train our human.
Mm.
It like we have to train this body, this brain, like
Yeah.
how to be like a powerful, empowering, responsible, the ability to powerfully respond to all things that happen to it. Whereas like,
Yeah.
just like a dog, like if you don't train it, like it will piss and shit everywhere. Right.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like humans are our human is the same way. It will just like shit all over itself if
Yeah.
we don't take the time to train it.
Yeah. And think about our parents, their parents, different cultures, right? Like this awareness of our brain, of our words, all of these different things, a lot of this is very new. So we've been brought up in environments where people weren't as conscious about these things. So
Yeah.
we pick all of these things up. So training your human makes total sense because we're on autopilot. You know, I'm a licensed hypnotherapist. So 95% of what we do is programmed.
Yep. Not
That's
by
crazy.
us. Yeah. By other people
Yeah,
or
not by us.
society or whatever.
It could be circumstances, it can be trauma, it can be your culture. All of that is programmed in us. And 95% of what we do every day is already in our subconscious. That's insane.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we dive even deeper, so for everyone listening, Margret Nasra Wilson is actually a longtime friend of mine. We met way back, I don't know, I want to say 8, 9+ years ago, through
Yeah.
a mutual friend at Facebook, of all places.
Mm-hmm.
You and I used to get lunch together. I'd come to the Facebook campus and we would just talk
Yeah.
all things personal development, coaching, kind of like our
Yeah.
dreams, etc. But in order to kind of really set the stage for like who Nasra is in this world now, she is a mind body connection coach and a licensed hypnotherapist. And
Mm-hmm.
her focus is that she helps people reconnect with their inner net, INNER net. So what
Correct.
exactly do you mean by that?
So we kind of touched on it a little bit, right? Us being on autopilot 95% of the time. And there's a lot of things that in our upbringing has been taught to us. And then we're in a certain society. And then there's certain events that are happening, right? And all of these things combined, they kind of direct our lives. And we get so hung up on everything that has happened, everything that is happening around us, and so on. And we're the most connected generation. You can reach someone in Asia, you can reach someone in Germany. It's everything's at your fingertips. But we're also the generation that is most disconnected from ourselves. We don't know how we feel, why we feel the way we feel. We don't know the voice in our head, what it's trying to tell us. We don't know what we want because we're being bombarded with all of these different ads and what life should look like and what success should look like, right? And I think that has always been a thing. But speaking of the time that we're in and having this awareness of higher levels of consciousness and understanding ourselves better, this is what I mean by the internet. We're stop connecting everything on the external and start connecting on the internal. So things will come naturally to you in a way that is in alignment with who you are. Because right now, everything that's happening around you is all just reactive. But you can be proactive about your life and the direction you're going. But you can't do that if you don't even know where you want to go.
Yeah, I think that is huge because it is impossible to go anywhere in your life if you don't know where you're trying to go. And I think there is so much stimulus in the form of social media, information, etc., that people don't even pause, take a breath, and be like, wait a minute, where do I want to go in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, few years? And they just kind of, like you said, they kind of go on autopilot. So they keep doing the job that pays the bills, that, like, covers the mortgage and feeds the family, but it's not nourishing them to the point where they feel like this is the life I want. It's more like I'm just trying to get by.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'll add to that, you don't know where you're going to go, and you don't even know where you are right now, like the starting point. So let's say you even have a destination, right? You said, okay, I want to do this thing, but you have no idea what your foundation is. You have no idea what your values are. You have no idea what your habits are today, right? And what do you actually, how can you work on something, on a destination or on yourself, if you don't know what the starting point is?
Totally agree, because if you think about a GPS system, not only do you have to tell it where you want to go, it has to know exactly where you are. Because if your GPS system doesn't know where you are, it can't get you where you want to go. And I think that's 100% huge. So I'm like really big into doing like self inventory, kind of like on all things: fitness, money, life, relationships, like mindset. Like, because if you don't know what your current location is within those realms, you can't go where you want to go.
Nope. Nope. It's crazy because so many people are afraid to take inventory because of what they might find, right?
Yeah.
And they just avoid it and they remain on autopilot because it's worked this long, right? So why change it? But it will catch up. And I don't mean that to say something like something bad will happen, but the world around us is constantly changing. The culture is changing. Inflation, let's talk about money, right? There's so many things changing. If you don't move along with that change, you're going to be left behind. So it's not realistic to think that, oh, you know what? I don't even want to know where I am. I don't want to take inventory because this has worked for me for so long. So I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing. 10 years from now, life is going to be very different. And if you stay the same, you're actually not standing still, you're moving backwards,
Yeah.
and life will get harder.
Yeah. So I know in my own experience, like one of the things that really changed my life is like working with my own coaches. So like,
Mm-hmm.
first I kind of started with my fitness journey, and like essentially, for 20 plus years I tried to like get the body I wanted, and I kind of was just like, okay, I guess I don't have the right genes, right? Like
Mm.
I've tried for 20 years to get a six pack, and dead serious, like I
That's
like
dedication.
read all
That's
the
dedication.
yeah, like, and then I was like, fuck, I guess I don't have the right genes. And then as a last ditch effort, I was like, you know what? I'm going to work with a fitness coach who not only has the body I want, but has also worked with other people and empowered them to get the body that they want. Because
Yeah.
like I've read like all the books, magazine, done all the supplements, literally done like tried all the diets, all the workout plans, bought all the fitness tools, etc. And then I started working with that coach, and literally within like uh 6 months, like I got the abs and the body that I wanted. And I was like, what the fuck? I spent 20 fucking years trying to figure this out myself. And then
Yeah.
this coach literally helped me do it in 6 months. Like,
Yeah.
and one of the things he had me do, to just in terms of inventory is he's had me start tracking my nutrition. And
Mm-hmm.
I would eat perfectly clean 6 days a week. I would literally eat like, and this is before I went plant-based, I would eat like broccoli and chicken for every single meal, like perfect,
Yeah.
like 6 days a week. And then
Mm-hmm.
on Sunday, I'd have Sunday fun day cheat day.
All in. Yeah.
And I would, no joke, I'd eat an entire fucking pizza. I'd have burger and fries. I'd have a 6-pack of beer. I would eat like an entire jar of like nut butter. And like, then when he had me start tracking that stuff, I was like, holy fucking shit, I can eat 10,000 calories in a day on my cheat day. So
That's
I
crazy.
would destroy those 6 days of perfect eating with one day. And like,
Wow.
this is back in the day when everyone's like, oh, you need to have a cheat day to like reset your metabolism and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, he had me like start to understand where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I was like, no fucking wonder I never could get a 6-pack, no matter how hard I worked out. Like, I couldn't out train my cheat day.
Yeah. No, and that makes so much sense, right? Because we're thinking like, oh, if I do 6 days of this, that one day can't possibly do that much damage. But the reality is 10,000 calories, right? Like, I don't know if that's an accurate number or if you're just, saying
serious.
it. But
I can seriously eat 10,000 calories in a day.
like,
no problem.
That, your body will store that for the next 3-4 days. And then before it has like burnt it, you're already back at the next cheat day. Like the next cheat day is around the corner.
Yeah. No, that's serious. That's why I would like year over year, I get it like a little bit like fatter. Like, and I was never like, no one would ever say like I was overweight. I always considered myself kind of fit, kind of fat. Like people be like, you're not overweight, but like with your shirt off, you're not like 6-pack and like muscular. You're just kind of like dad bod.
Yeah. You got a little meat on you.
Yeah. And then like, so essentially, I guess what I'm getting at is like, I found for myself working with coaches is a great way to take inventory because I'm too afraid. Dead serious. I still get my own coaching. I'm too afraid to look at the stuff in my life that needs attention by myself. But if I have someone to like hold my hand and give me guidance, like I'll look at all my shit.
Yeah. So I love that you said that because there's 2 things I want to say about this. One, as humans, we are communal, right? Like we need people around us. And we are currently in a society that is do it yourself. You got to do it. Be independent. Do these things, right? But when we go back to hundreds of years ago of how humans survived, we didn't do it on our own. We need relationships. We need support. We need somebody to hold our hand, right? And I'm not saying that you can't do anything by yourself, but certain things, especially the things that you're trying to like grow in, having someone that has walked the walk, and even if they're just 3 steps ahead. So this is something that my coach always told me, right? Is my coach always said, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be at the end destination because the end destination is death, right? When you've reached the end, you can say bye-bye. You can just be 3 steps ahead and share that with someone and help them and support them to get to where you are. And I think that is so crucial to understand that so many successful people, and I'm not even referring to money, I'm talking about even just personal freedom, right? Spirituality, whatever. If you ask them how they got to where they got to, there was always another human being that either supported them, mentored them, inspired them, or something like that. So to think that you have to do it on your own to begin with is already like feeding into the toxic culture of independence.
Yeah, you got to be a self-made man.
Exactly. Who's self-made? Nobody is self-made.
It's true. Yeah. And even I've claimed like I'm a self-made like multimillionaire, but the truth is I had all these fucking coaches that like taught me how to like build wealth and grow my career, and like I paid for massive amount of support, and I had a whole fucking team behind me to get where I'm at. You know what I mean? And my only claim to that is like I didn't inherit the money from my family.
Yeah.
But that's like that's a more like that's more truthful, is like
Yeah.
I am a multimillionaire that has created my wealth with the help of coaches. My parents did not give it to me. That's like the truth.
Yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of people that could say that, right? That could say I'm self-made. Maybe they mean that, I did it myself. I didn't get it from anybody. But again, the context in that is you did have people to support you to reach that goal, but nothing was handed to you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know how to like what is the short phrase? Like, so if you're not self-made, it's like I'm self-created with lots of support, but nothing was
Yeah.
given to me.
See, and that doesn't sound cool,
It
right?
doesn't
But that's
sell.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I think, having people that are conscious and that understand that nothing is self-made. I personally, if I hear you say that, I haven't heard you say that, but if I hear you say that, I wouldn't be like, what is he talking about? You know what I mean? Like, I know where that comes from. I know what you mean by that. But someone that isn't as conscious or connected, right? Like, would they take this and be like, oh, I'm a failure because I am not self-made? Because I need a coach, or I need a trainer, or I need a thing, right? So my blood glue thing is like going off.
She's getting excited.
I'm measuring my blood sugars all the time. I don't have diabetes or anything, but I measure my blood sugar to understand what I'm eating, like how it's affecting my blood sugar. So it just went off because it's the timer, but it's going to have to wait.
That's awesome. So it's a continuous glucose monitor that you have.
I don't have the thing that you put in the arm. That's my next thing that I want to invest in. Right now, I just have the little pricker, and then you can just measure the blood and it'll tell you. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, before we dive into that, let's go back to kind of your origin story. Like, when I first met you, you were just working out Facebook. You were going through some schooling to kind of become a coach. So, like, let's bring it back. Let's dig into the origin story of Nasra, the coach.
Yeah. So let's start with my name, because you know me as Margret, and my middle name is Nasra. Nasra, a lot of Americans say Nasra. I'm originally from Germany. My dad's German and my mom's Somalian. But I wasn't like raised with the Somalian side. Like, my mom was really trying to learn German and trying to adapt to the culture. So we didn't speak Somalian. I didn't get a lot of the culture, just a little bit, and so on. And my middle name has just always been my middle name. And I tell you this piece of it because in my healing and growth journey, to the point where we met, not even where I am today, because that was a whole nother journey, but from when we met, I didn't tap into a certain part of me, right? That part of me that is Nasra. Because when I tell people I'm from Germany, they're like, okay, but where you're really from, right? Like, you were raised there or you were born there, but like, where are you really from? And it's because of my skin tone. And I always felt like I needed to explain myself in so many ways to people of, oh, my dad's this, my mom's that. I was born over there and I did this thing. And my entire life had that theme of like over explaining and wanting people to accept me because I didn't know who I was in my biracial self, right? So when I completed my schooling, and actually after the pandemic, I used my coaching name to be Nasra because that is a part of me that I haven't explored yet. I'm in the process of it, but who is the half Somali inside of me, right? And because I know Margret, I've gotten to know her very well. People have gotten to know her very well. But part of that was also a facade. So I want to understand my full self, and that means I need to introduce myself and know myself as Nasra. So that's where my name comes in. And now I forgot the question that you asked me because I went on a tangent.
No. I just was curious about where Nasra came from, as well as kind of
Okay.
like how you first, started to get into the coaching career.
Yeah, so that, and I want to explain that to my coaching clients that, they don't know me as Margret. A lot of them don't, some do that have worked with me in the past. But basically, the new ones that are coming along, right? I want to share that story with them because I think you always have an opportunity to get to know yourself. Like your entire life journey is about getting to know yourself, learning about yourself, and growing and changing and evolving, right? And in order for you to live the life that you want, you really have to get a good understanding of who you are, and where you come from. And that part of it is my journey in this process of being a coach, right?
Yeah. In my own coaching practice, one of the things that I share with my clients is that self knowledge leads you to greater and greater levels of personal power. And the more self knowledge you cultivate for yourself, the greater your personal power. And it's also a never ending journey because, like, there's always another layer of the onion to peel back. And instead of being like, oh, like I like when I finally find myself and understand myself, then I can be the person I want to be. But it's like no, like fuck that, because you'll never get there. Like fall in love with the process that you are over the months, years, decades. You're getting to know yourself better and better, and it's an incredible journey that you can fall in love with, and know that the journey's never going to end. And that's exciting because you don't want the journey to the end, because that means this human experience is over and you're off to the next thing, whatever that is.
Yeah, yeah. And what's funny about this is too, once you get to the point of thinking like, oh, now I know myself, a new version of you has already emerged. You know what I mean? And you're like, damn it, I thought that wasn't me, right? Like I thought I knew myself. And then something happened and you're like, that is not me. Like I don't want that anymore. So I think if you embrace that mindset of like, it's a journey and I'm going to evolve and I'm going to grow and I'm going to change and I'm going to get to know myself and all of the different versions of myself. Like me in my 20s is a very different version than me in my 30s, right? And now I'm 40. I just turned 40 this year. So my 40 self is already different from my 30. Like when I introduce myself and someone asks me or I have to tell them my age, I'm already showing up differently in a better way.
Totally
So,
agree. Like I was a fucking mess, like a dumpster fire in my 20s
oh
and
my
even
God.
my early 30s.
Yeah, yeah. And again, that's from our childhood, right? Like what were we taught about ourselves to, I'm not saying that you can't make any mistakes. Like we should absolutely explore. Our 20s is there to fuck up, right? I have a 21-year-old son and I tell my son all the time, like I don't want him to just, not care about his life, but I do want him to make mistakes. I want you to fuck up. I want you to do things that will teach you lessons because that's the only way you are going to be able to evolve and grow. I can't tell you about all my mistakes. That's not going to mean nothing to you. You have to do them on your own. So, yeah, it's a constant evolution.
Yeah, and I think you can speed up your own process by learning from others' mistakes, right? So it's like, okay, cool. They went through this similar thing that I went through. How did they get how did they learn, heal, grow, and transform and transcend from it, so that you don't have to like spend like years figuring out yourself. You can be like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'm just gonna take their notes and use it to get through this like infinitely faster.
Right, going back to the coach conversation, right? Like having someone that has experienced that to ask questions, like because you're already going through that situation then, right? And I could have told you, because I've been through it 1,000 times, don't do that because this is what's going to happen. And then you did it anyway. You won't learn just from me telling you, don't do that. Sometimes you have to like fall on your face and learn certain things. And then you'll listen to what I said. I'm going to give you an example. My son's 21. He's been driving since he's been 17. And I had to teach him. And Justin, let me tell you, I am not a good teacher when it comes to driving. I know how to drive, but I am a ball of anxiety, okay? Because people drive crazy and so I got my license in Germany. And in Germany, you have to take it for a whole year because you have to drive in all 4 seasons. You have to have 21 hours of in class. So you're sitting in a class with a teacher and then you get a test, right? So you have to have these 21 hours. And it's like college credits type thing. And then you have to have so many hours when it comes to driving. And the reason why is because in Germany, we don't have speed limits on our freeway, on the Autobahn, right? So there's a lot of rules and a lot of structures, and you have to like know them to the T. Otherwise, things can get really bad really quick, right? So me coming to the States and now me having to like teach my son how to drive, I'm teaching him all the German ways, right? But his environment is like, everybody's driving like this, everybody's doing what they want type thing, because really any parent can just teach their kids. So I have been on him for the last 4 years. Don't do this. Don't do that. Keep your distance, this and this and that. Last week, he finally learned his lesson twice. Thank God nothing bad happened, but I keep telling him to keep his distance, right? And every time I'm in the car, I'm like, I have my foot on here, like as if I had a brake. I don't have brakes or any gas, but I'm like so nervous because the way he drives. And it's not that he's reckless. He's just sometimes a little bit too close. So I keep telling him, keep your distance, keep your distance. And he's like, Mom, I'm a good driver. Okay. All right. Hit somebody in the back. I was in the car. I didn't say I told you so. I did not say that. But in my mind, I was like, here we fucking go. Good driver, right? Has nothing to do with you. If a person in front of you stops, that's what it is. Second thing happened. We're on the freeway. We're going to Florida. I told you I was on vacation in Florida. We're driving to Florida. He wants to drive because I drive too slow for him. I'm like, okay, go ahead and drive. Gets pulled over for speeding. So he got 2 tickets in 1 week. He didn't even want to drive anymore. He was like, I'm done. I'm not driving anymore. And I was like, no, you should drive. But what I'm telling you, I told you for years, this is what can happen. And you don't want to listen. And now it happened, right? It's not that I manifested it. It's just what's going to happen if you don't listen. So yeah, that was a long story, but
yeah, no, it's true. A lot of times we do have to like go through the lesson ourselves in order to learn it. And then those situations empower us, hopefully, if we evolve, to take the teaching or the coaching the next time we get it from mom, dad, a mentor, a coach, who's like, hey, if you want to avoid the mistake, here's what you can do. And then hopefully you've had enough of those where you didn't listen and you had to learn the hard way to then be like, okay, cool, I'm going to take the easy way this time.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way. I had to make tons of mistakes myself and like fuck up. And like, my money journey as a whole, I was 80 grand in debt, 6 years behind on my taxes. And like, then when I finally got coaching around my money, they're like, do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it because I fucked up and I'm still hurting from it. So whatever you tell me, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, that's the next thing, Justin. I'm actually on that with him. So with the money thing, because he got a job and he's got money and, it's like, oh, there is no tomorrow. Like I can do everything today. So
YOLO.
I'm on that. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Which is another thing. Like, it's like, there's nuance to YOLO. It's not just like, fuck everything. I'm going to die tomorrow. It's like
Yeah.
live like carpe diem, seize the day, but also like plan for the fact that you might live for another like 80 years or
Exactly.
100 plus years with like science and technology these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. But how do you put that in a phrase that sounds cool, right? YOLO
Exactly.
sounds way cooler. So
YOLO, but plan to live 100 plus years with lots of winters.
exactly. It's not possible. And we have to, like if I think about this generation and when I create content, right? I'm always thinking about the fact, oh my God, it's over a minute. How
Yeah.
crazy is that? Because I can't keep people's attention more than a minute. It
Yeah,
has to
it's
be
so true.
it's so sad. It's so sad.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's jump back to you're working at Facebook. You're going through your
Mhm.
kind of like initial coaching training. Like why did you, want to get into coaching? Like what was your kind of
Yeah.
like desire or dream, or like how did you start to like pursue that career?
Yeah. So I think by the time I met you, I was probably like 1 year in. And I originally didn't start because I wanted to be a coach. I originally wanted to start to help myself to understand techniques and healing modalities to help myself, because what had happened probably like 5 years prior to that, um, I got a divorce from my ex-husband, and I got married really, really young. Well, not really, really young, 20, but that's pretty young, right? I had my son when I was 19. I was married by the age of 20. I had my daughter when I was like 22, right? So back to back. And prior to that, my dad passed away when I was 16. So a lot of things had happened in my teenage years and early adulthood, and I didn't even really know myself yet. So by the age of 26, 27, everything came crashing down because I didn't marry a person that was like good for my mental health or my well being. I married someone that had wounds like me, and then we just bled on each other, right? So by the age of 27, when I got divorced, and I had to literally start over because he was not cooperating in filing for divorce. He didn't want to sign the papers. He wanted to make my life really difficult to make me stay. Um, I I had to like restart my life at 27. And I was like, how do I like restart? I don't have a foundation. I don't know what to do. I had lost all furniture to him because I was just like, just let me go. You can have everything, right? I don't want anything. I just want the kids. that's all I want. And he gave me the kids, but still tried to make my life miserable years after that. And I had to hustle and bustle, not just to survive with my two kids, but also like trying to understand like what's next. And then dealing with the grief of my father, dealing with the grief of my marriage, right? Because I was married for almost 8 years, right? And in those 8 years, in year two, I probably knew this wasn't for me or it's not good for me, but I stayed because I didn't want society to look at me as a Black single mom, right? Another statistic. So I was like, I'm just gonna suck it up. And also, who wants a woman with two kids, right? So I had this fear-based mindset, this trauma-based mindset of like, I'm not good enough. And my dad passing away was abandonment for me, right? Like I didn't know that at that time. Today I know I felt abandoned because he died from alcoholism. So by the time I met you, I had already gotten the job at Facebook, right? And I was a contractor, so I wasn't working directly for Facebook, but I had worked for the past 5 years on elevating myself professionally and just means to survive for me and my kids. And then I got to a point where I was like, oh, I live in the Bay Area. I work at Facebook. I make a decent living. I'm not dependent on my ex-husband. And now all these other things are coming up, like the feelings of the loss of when my husband was unfaithful, and all the trauma was coming up. And I didn't know how to deal with it. I was like, and I couldn't, I made a decent living, but I didn't make enough to get like a therapist or a coach, even, right? So I was like, oh, there's this life coaching school that is teaching you about healing and growth and all these things. And I can get student loans for it because it's literally an associate's degree, right? So I was like, it's 2 years of me learning all the techniques and modalities. So I started off, Justin, to help myself with no intention of becoming a coach. And a year in, I was like, oh my God, like, why is this not taught in school? Why is no one teaching us this stuff? You know what I mean? And I was like, I have to do something. Like, I have to be part of this, because there are women like me that are in relationships that are abusive and that don't want to leave because they're afraid of being a single mom, or they're afraid of not being able to survive, or they're choosing partners because they have trauma, And I just wanted to be a part of the change. I felt like if I could do anything with this information, I want to be able to share it with other people to set them free.
That's so powerful. Like, be a part of the change that you want to see in the world. And like, you wanted to see a change in yourself. And so you're like, I want to be a part of this change, not just for myself, but also for others, because I know there's others like me.
Yeah. Yes.
It's beautiful.
100%. Thanks.
Okay, cool. So we get yeah, I think you were about a year
Uh-oh.
into, you're still
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Okay, good.
You were about a year or so, like I met you right when you're going through it. Like I remember, because Alvin, our friend, shout out to Alvin if you listen to this podcast, he, like, him and I were like a meeting, and he was like, I think you need to meet my friend Margret, because like you guys like are both kind of like into the whole personal development, like coaching thing. And I was
Yeah.
like, I was just like, all right, cool. Like, sounds good. I love talking about personal development. And then like we became like fast friends because we just
Yeah.
like, talked like personal development, self-improvement, all that stuff, and really hit it
Yeah.
off. So then, tell me about kind of like moving into the next kind of part of your coaching career. Like, when did you, finish up with that associate's degree? When and how did you start your coaching practice, etc.?
Yeah. So I got it in 2017 is when I quote unquote graduated, but I started after that 1 year already. So the first year when I came to that realization that I wanted to help other people, I was like, oh, I want to start it now. And I had peers that were, in my class and stuff. They had already established businesses and stuff like that. And some of them were at the beginning. So we were kind of helping each other out, right? But I completely like undervalued myself, not when it comes to just finances, but I was still working a full-time job. I'm in the Bay Area. My kids are in school. So it was very hard to build that business as a single mom. And in the Bay Area, I had no family, right? No friends except for like coworkers. So it's very difficult to like make it an actual business and find clients, because the only time I was able to do that would be on the weekends. This was way before everybody was working from home. We all had to come into the office, and in the Bay Area, you got to be in traffic for an hour and a half at the very least. So there was just no way for me to do anything outside of the weekend. So for, I would say, another 2 or 3 years, I was taking any client that I could get, and not for money, but for practice, right? I offered some free, and I offered some for a very low amount to get in that practice. But I learned so much in that phase about not just personal development, but what makes humans tick, and who is serious about transformation and change and who isn't. So they were very hard years, but I don't think I would be the coach today if I didn't have those years.
Yeah. Yeah. In my own experience, so I've done for others, and I've gotten free coaching.
Hmm.
And occasionally, like when, back when I was kind of doing like, fitness and money coaching just for free for people,
Yeah.
sometimes like you get some results with a person. But like most
Yeah.
of the time, because it's free, they don't really fucking take it seriously. And it's the
Nope.
same for me. When I've gotten free coaching, it's like, sometimes I do a little bit. But when I
Yep.
put my money on the line, then I'm like,
Exactly.
well, I'm gonna fucking get my money's worth.
Show up.
I'm gonna do the fucking work because I'm
Yep.
not gonna be reason that this was a waste of money.
Yep. Exactly. And I love that you said that. The gym membership is the perfect example that I always give people, right? If you get a gym membership for $10 and you're not into fitness, you're going to pay $10 every month for 24, 28 months, whatever, right? Because $10 a month, you don't want to cancel that because maybe on Monday you'll start, right?
Yeah.
But if you pay 50, 60, or $100 a month,
Yeah.
you're either going to show up or you're going to cancel, one of the two, but you're not going to waste any funds. And what I found out is that Planet Fitness, I don't know if we can say the names here, that's their whole business model.
Oh, 100%. Let's be real on this show. Like, they can send me a notice to not talk about this. But, like, yeah, they totally do that because they know people will sign up for a $10 membership, never fucking
And
come.
show up.
And then they can actually sign infinitely more people that could ever legally fit in that gym.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when I learned that, I was like, oh shit. I'm internalizing my coaching not working because they're either paying nothing or very low amounts, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm a terrible coach. Like, I know all these things, but clearly, people don't want to listen or learn from me.
Yeah.
And it was all, I don't want to say it was all about the money, but because I have like scholarship programs sometimes where I will offer free coaching, but in exchange of something, right? So if you don't have the funds, I'll take feedback or something like that. You still have to do something, but yeah, anything that's free, people generally don't value it. And one of my coaches used to say, the only people that pay attention.
Yeah. It's so true. It's like, and also just to take the gym analogy to another thing, if you sign up for a fitness coaching program and you spend $3,000,
Right.
you're gonna fucking do whatever they tell you to do. Like,
Exactly.
you're gonna be like, yeah, like I just spent $3,000. I better fucking do the work because like
Yeah.
otherwise, like that's a lot of fucking money. Um,
100%.
yeah, and same thing. Like I've got my own coaching, like, and like I've joined masterminds groups, and I've paid like thousands and thousands of dollars to be a part of these
Yeah.
masterminds, and they would happen on the weekend, and I'd be like wanting to not show up because I'm like, oh, I want to do something else. It's Saturday, like I want to go play or take a break from
Right.
work. I worked so hard this week, and then it's like,
Yeah.
no fucking way. I paid thousands of dollars. I'm gonna fucking show up.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what's funny about this is like coming from where I came from and what I've experienced, I would have never been able to pay thousands of dollars to a coach, right? I probably would have been grateful if I had found a coach that would put me in the program as a charity, whatever. I hate that word for that particular case, but you know what I mean? Like someone that would have gifted that to me, it would have been great. However, there are so many ways that I think all of us are providing information that is free. And I really had to have a conversation with me because I felt guilty every time I charged someone that was in similar situations at me and I knew they didn't have the money laying around to pay me. I felt terrible. And that's not a way to do business either, right? So I knew I had to do some healing on myself and my money journey of like, why do I feel so bad taking this money from this person? So my coach in that, again, was like, you're giving Instagram content. You're posting stuff on YouTube. You have an email list. You have a Facebook group. And you're sharing so much value And people can take all this information for free. And if they're serious about it, they will find a way to pay you. Because here's the thing, you cannot help people and exhaust yourself because you're not serving anybody. And as a single mom, that comes naturally to me, to just do everything for everybody and I come last, right? And when I burnt myself out in 2020, that's when I realized that I burnt myself out. When 2020 came and we were all kind of like just stuck at home, I was like, oh my God. I was like, not only undervaluing myself, but I was like just giving so much. And people either didn't appreciate it or it didn't motivate them enough to go to the next level. But that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to do what I'm here to do, is to help people on this journey that I've been through. And the people that will take it serious and that want it will find a way to pay me. And in the meantime, they will intake all of my free content and do something with that. But it's not my responsibility to convince them to do that.
Yeah. And that's a whole nother topic around coaching is standing for the possibility for your clients, as well as providing tools, strategies, frameworks, tips, action plans that will 10x or 100x their process. But if they don't do the work, it's not our responsibility as a coach, because we said, like, here's the action plan, but you have to walk it. And this plan is going to get you there 10 years sooner than if you just try to like trial and error it yourself. But if you don't start walking it, you're going to be in the same fucking place you're in right now, like in 10 years.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
that's one of the things I've had to learn as a coach, because I'm, in the first year of my coaching practice, and like paid coaching practice of Fit Rich Life. And there's some members who are just like massive action takers. They just like, they get shit done and they like have so much success. And then there's kind of like the middle part, and they like do some work, but they're not as like high performer as like those ones I just mentioned. And then there's the people that pay and do fucking nothing. And I'm like, wait, you just paid thousands of dollars and you're literally doing nothing and just making excuses. I'm like, and I'm still learning, like, how do I not take that personal as a coach? Because of course I want to be, well, I'm not like inspiring enough or good enough coach. But like at the same time, it's like everyone's 100% responsible. So I'll take 100% responsibility. I will show up for them. I will provide space, tips, tools, strategies, co-create goals, hold them accountable. But if they don't show up, I can't help them.
No. And that's part of our journey, right? Is learning to let go of things that are out of our control as a coach and just as a human being, right? Like I say this about my family. I can love my family all I want. I can try to pour into them as much. Like my mom, my dad passed away. My mom's from Somalia. Even though she's been in Germany for a long time, there's still some roots, right, that are very much Somalian. And some of those things are not healthy. And it's not just about Somalia. It's every culture has their own little thing, right? And for years, I've tried to like teach my mom what I've been learning.
That's a recipe for disaster right there. I'll just say
recipe for disaster. And I don't know where I heard this, but it could have been and I'm not religious, but at a church. I love a good church service, or a coach or somebody said that. And it's like, you don't teach people by your words. You teach them by your behavior and your reactions and all of these things. And you're teaching them how you're showing up in the world. And I had to learn with my mom, not just my mom. I don't want to like shout out to my mom. I don't want to talk crap about you. She's not going to watch this anyway. But I had to like show my boundaries and the things that I've learned and how I communicate and what I expect in return from my mom in the way I show up. not by telling her. I mean, obviously there's some verbiage that you have to, have, and some things you have to say, but for the most part, it's actions. I have to show my mom how how I want to show up and how I want to be treated and all of these things.
Yeah, it's all about being the lighthouse, not the tugboat.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Yeah, and I have to do that for my clients as well. I have to show them what's possible. I have to say, like, you can work 4-day work week, love your fucking work, be in amazing shape, be super wealthy, have a great marriage, and like you can do that. Let me and I'll show you because I'm doing it, and I'll give you guidance to get there. But I can't come to you. You have to come meet me where I'm at. But I'll say like, hey, if you want to get here faster, here's how you go. And that's the thing I had to learn in my own coaching practice is it's okay to provide coaching to people who are paying you for coaching. Do not fucking coach your family or friends who are not paying you.
What's funny about this is it's not even just about the payment piece, but it's like another thing for me with changing my name, it was like, oh, you know what? When I'm coaching, I'm going to be Nasra. Like, it's not Margret. Like, if you're my sister or my mom or my friend, right? Like, you can call me and we can talk about it. And I'll give you a little bit, like, if you're asking for it. But I'm not going to go into a full coaching session here because you're just going to either take it or not take it. But, like, that's energy that's being taken away from me. And I know that you have to, like, put your money where your mouth is, put your energy where your mouth is. So I'm not going to give a whole bunch of my energy to you. But I love the fact that now in the coaching world, I'm Nasra, right? And it's like, there's a difference. And when I talk to my family, it's funny because I say this now. Do you need Margret or Nasra? Because there's a difference. Do you need your friend or your sister, or do you need the coach to show up? And if the coach shows up, there's only going to be a limited amount of coaching that I'm going to do, quote unquote, for free.
Yeah, that's the other journey that I've been learning is because like, now that my program's like under a year or over a year and like I've gotten like massive successful transformations, like friends are coming out of the woodwork trying to get free coaching. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I love you. If you want to join my program and pay, I'm happy to coach you. And otherwise, like, I'm not going to get on a 1 or 2 hour phone call and just give you free coaching because you probably won't do anything with it because I gave it to you for free.
Yeah. So
I love you. We can go hang out and go, grab lunch or do something. But like if you want to change your life, put your money on the line.
Exactly. Because it's good for you. It's not just good for me. But I did this one thing. I saw this on another coach's page, and I get these DMs all the time. Like, can I pick your brain? Right. And I was like, I already know where this goes. And then you're like, shit, I opened it. So now they see that I read it. You know what I mean? But it's like, I created a link that says pick my brain that you have to pay for. So basically you can work with me over the course of 3 months, right? Or 6 months or however many months you want, which is obviously preferred, not just for me, but for you also. So you can we can meet on a consistent basis. But I'm no longer like giving pick my brain advice.
Yeah.
Because that again takes a lot of energy and a lot of resources from yourself. And people just don't a lot of people don't like that. But I had to like separate myself from it because it's the same principle. If you're not paying, you're not paying attention. And you can come and pick my brain for the next 10 months every month, right? And that's free coaching. And that's not fair.
I'll tell you what I do. I'll say like, you want you want some time with me? Here's a booking link. It's $900 per hour.
Well,
they have, but you can trust me.
Yeah,
you can. You literally just set the price, and in order to book the meeting, and I'll send you the calendar program that I use to do this. Yeah. And if in order to actually set the calendar meeting, they have to pay your price.
Hey, that's what I do too. I think it's 2 times of what I would charge. Like I calculated in a 3 month, how much is that per hour technically? And then I doubled it, right? And I was basically putting that in the link. And in order for you to schedule time, you had to pay first.
Yeah.
And then you could have access to my calendar. And that was a huge step for me. I was really proud of me for doing that, because generally when people DM'd me and said, "Can I pick your brain?" I'm like, sure. It's like self-advertising and stuff like that. And I had to stop doing that because I was doing that all day.
Yeah. Yeah. Coaching is a really fascinating journey because it's a journey of self-worth. And like deeply diving into your own self-worth. And like, I'm speaking from my own experience because, my business partner has like since day one, like been pushing me to increase my prices like every month. Cause he's like, dude, you're getting massive results. You need to charge more. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but I don't have enough experience. I shouldn't charge more. And he's like, dude, like you've been fucking learning this shit and gotten your own coaching for like decades. Like you need to value your time, charge more.
Yeah.
And so like slowly but surely, like, he like, that and my own like coaches, they help me be like, wait a minute, I am worthy of charging a higher amount. And it's just like this process of kind of like, it's scary to ask for more of what you deserve, but then you do it and you kind of like, okay, cool, I'm at this level. And then there's another level you have to climb to. So, but it's definitely a long, challenging journey of like valuing yourself at higher and higher levels. And I think all humans are on that journey, because it's like in everyone's career, it's like, anyone who's like invested in growing themselves, like there's going to come a point in the near future where they're being undervalued by their employer and that they deserve to be paid more. And their employer is not going to just be like, oh, here's a raise. You have to go ask for the raise.
Yes.
Or get another job that will pay you your market value.
Exactly. And when it's everything you said, I 100% agree with. And I'll add to that, when I had to raise my prices, when I was advised to raise my prices, again, I go back to the single mom that I was and be like, now they definitely can't afford me, right? So that's when I introduced group coaching. And I know you do group coaching too. And I'm going to be honest, group coaching is my favorite thing.
I love group coaching too.
I love it so much because in one-on-one coaching, yes, you can go really deep. You can be very vulnerable about a lot of things. But when you're in group coaching, you remove that belief that it's just you, that it's your problem, that nobody else is experiencing life the way you are, and everything is going wrong for you. In group coaching, our stories are very similar. Our limiting beliefs are very similar. And when we hear that and when we experience that, it kind of sets you free a little bit, right? It helps you like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. I've been out here by myself trying to figure it out. And look at all these people that have the same experience as me. And that's why I love group coaching, because not only can I charge less to help the people that cannot afford to book me one-on-one, but you get to see so many more people that are in the same boat, and you guys get to lock in and do it together. So I love group coaching.
Yeah, there's something so powerful about being on the journey, whatever healing journey you're on, whether it's fitness or money or marriage or whatever, with other people, because it's like you're not alone. And I like, one of my sayings is like together we go faster, have so much more fun, and like go so much further.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you're down one day or you're low energy, someone else will be there to pick you up, you know what I mean? And help you. And you don't feel like, sometimes when you have your family and friends that are not going through the same thing, it's very hard to like tell them what you're going through and expect something for them to support you, right?
Yeah.
But you have other people that are going through the same thing, they can be like, I went through that yesterday and I'm feeling better today. And here's what I did.
Yeah. Awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super powerful. And the truth is, like, you said earlier in this show, just like, back in the day, like we did everything as like a tribe with like a
Yes.
family, like, and that's the thing, that I think certain civilizations and certain cultures do a better job at this than, say, the American Western culture, is
Yeah.
like the elders have so much wisdom. And I think in especially in the US, I think a lot of coaches are stepping into that role of saying like I am an elder and maybe I'm just 2 years ahead of you in this particular path,
Yeah.
but like if you want to go faster, you can be an apprentice, but that means you are going to, pay to be that apprentice, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, if you want to go faster, like, get the quote unquote elder who is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ahead of you or more,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Yeah.
the other thing is like, and I just want to point this out. So I think in the beginning of our coaching career, like you're helping these people that are, like a 1 or 2 years behind you. But as you
Mhm.
grow as an individual, Margret, you then are now 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ahead. And you don't
Yes.
actually, it's in a sense, it's almost no longer your journey to help the person who's on like 1 year behind. Your journey is now
Yeah.
to help the person that is currently 1 to 3 years behind where you are now, not where you were 5 years ago.
Yes.
And
So
that's what I've
powerful.
had to learn too, is like as my coaching program is evolving, I have to take more and more evolved clients because I'm evolving. So now these people that I helped at the beginning of my program, I'm too far ahead. I'm not the right
Yeah.
coach for them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not like you couldn't help them, but sometimes it's better for you to have someone that has freshly experienced this, right? Because your mindset and your growth has changed you, where you might remember what that was like, but at the same time, it's also like maybe you don't remember how hard it is to get out of that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you've worked on your mindset so much where you can't even see yourself in that space anymore. But yeah, I love that because it's also important for yourself, right? Like, let's not talk about the clients. Like, in order for you to become a better coach, you have to grow. You have to get to the next level. You have to be able to provide better service. We can't just keep charging more for no reason, right? We become better. We become more valuable with our experience. And that just naturally comes with it. You're going to attract other clients. You're going to serve other clients.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is a bit of a left turn, but like you and I both have to wrap this up. So let's talk a little bit about, your, before we started recording, we just talked about kind of like your fitness journey now that you're 40. Cause like, I'm I turned 41 too. And things are just like, things are different. I'm not saying they're better or worse. It's just like, it's the game or the journey of fitness evolves as you get into different age brackets.
Yeah, exactly. I love talking about this because I'm so proud of myself right now. I go to the gym almost every single day in the morning, and I go to a gym where I have to pay a little bit more than $10. Well, it's a lot more than $10. But the reason I go is because the energy in the room of people that are paying a certain amount and that show up at 6 a.m. in the morning at the gym, that's the type of energy I want to tap into. And I used to go to the gym and work out very inconsistently, by the way, to lose weight, right? To fit in to society standards, to look a certain way. And there's nothing wrong with that. I want to have a nice body too, but that should not be your main goal. because there's so much more that comes with fitness. And being 40 now, my energy at 2 p.m. is shit, okay? Like, you can't do nothing with me. I can maybe answer some emails, but if you ask me to solve a problem, I'm probably going to give you the wrong advice. And it's not just the energy, it's like the whole outlook. You've experienced so many things in life already where a lot of these things can taint you, right? Like, they can make you a little bit bitter, a little bit more aggressive, right? Like, when I think about some old people that are really mean, I'm like, dang, like, what happened to you? You know what I mean? Like, there's probably so much that happened to you. And I don't want that to define me. I don't want to feel like that. I want to be energized. I want to have a good day. I want to age gracefully. So I wake up every morning and I go to the gym and I do things to gain energy, to age gracefully. And the byproduct of that is to lose weight, right? So yeah, that's my fitness journey right now. Showing up every single day. So yeah, it's about aging gracefully. It's about compound effects, right? Like, making sure that when I'm 60 and when I'm 70, I have the muscles in my arms to lift myself up from a chair when I'm sitting down. I have the muscle mass in my body to help me fight through diseases, right? To be able to walk outside. Like, all of these different things, we look at fitness and just be like, to have this perfect body, but I want to have a perfect mind and body connection. And the only way, and with fitness, it's so beautiful because you get both. You get a great mindset and you're helping your body be an ally for you.
I love that. Okay. Well, I always ask towards the end of the show for the guest to share a leave behind, either something actionable or something for the audience to integrate into their own life. And it's one tip, tool, or strategy for fitness, one for money, and one for life. So what do you got for us?
Yeah. So let's keep it at fitness real quick because we just started with that. One mindset shift that I had to make that really, really helped me was, I don't have to go to the gym. I get to go to the gym. And just that little wording makes all the difference, because there's people that cannot go. There's people that, not only, I'm not even talking about the funds, that physically cannot work out their body, and all they would want to do is just walk. And I have that capability. So I'm changing my language around that. And for me, it's, I get to go. And what that does for me is give me that longevity, give me that energy and that mindset that I need to tackle not just my day and my responsibilities, but prepare myself for the future that I want. Because I have a long life. Speaking of YOLO, we don't know if tomorrow's going to come, but we want to be prepared for it, right? And your problems at 40 are going to be very different at 60. And through the gym, through fitness, I'm able to control that a little bit better. Does that make sense?
I love it. 100%.
Nice. Money is something that I'm still a work in progress with my relationship to money. And I just had a therapy session yesterday, and my therapist told me to think about money as a way of freedom and not a way of shackles. Sometimes I still live in that mindset of the single mom that barely made it, and I don't allow certain things for myself. And I think you have to find that balance between being like a stickler and being like, crazy YOLO type of lifestyle. And a lot of people that make more money, now that I make more money, a lot of other people are doing these things where they spend more money. And I'm trying to find that balance. And that balance is to remember who I was 10 years ago and who I am today, and keep a budget, but also focus on taking care of yourself in a way that makes you happy. Like, use money as a freedom tool but don't be irresponsible with it because it can be taken away from you any single day.
I love that. Yeah, and just like any tool, like you can smash your finger with a hammer if you use it wrong, and you can
Exactly.
fuck up your life if you use your money wrong. But you can
Yeah.
also, you can literally build the house of your dreams with a hammer if you use it right.
Right. Right. It's a tool. Yeah, it's a tool to your freedom, and it should not like control you in a negative way or too much in a YOLO way, right? Like find that balance of in between, but also get to the foundation. I think that's what I missed, where you got to know where you are to know where you want to go. So get the help you need to understand your financial situation and get a coach to help you get to the next level, right? When it comes to life, I would say I have a lot of different mottos, but I think the one that I follow the most is follow your fear. Our brain looks at fear, either there's danger or there's discomfort, right? And it cannot tell what the difference is. I can say there's danger and there's discomfort, but my brain doesn't know the difference. And my brain will make up a story every single time I am presented with a situation that has the potential to help me grow. And in those moments, if we are not communicating with our brain and understanding, is this situation actually dangerous, or is this situation an opportunity for me to get to the next level, for me to grow, for me to gain some experience? There's what the difference is. And a lot of people look at fear as like, oh my God, I'm afraid, I can't do this. And they let the fear control them. But fear is an opportunity for you to experience life on a new level, to gain new skills, right? And I think if a lot of people would adapt that motto of follow your fear and don't allow it to stop you, a lot of people would live much happier lives.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in what you just said, because I have a similar motto, and it's fear is the way shower to the next
Oh,
evolution of your best self.
yes. Yes. It's like a compass, right?
It's
It's like
super
a
scary
soul.
though, because it's like I'm scared, but that's where all the growth happens.
Exactly. And we have this illusion that we're supposed to be comfortable and safe. Like that's what life is, right? It feels good, but again, we're not going to stand still. We're going to be left behind if we don't move along with life. So, life is hard to stay the same and life is hard to change. So, you just got to pick your hard. And me picking my hard is following my fear.
I love it. Awesome. Well, I know if people want to connect with you about your coaching services, as
Mhm.
well as I know you run a really awesome free program in November, tell us the best way for people to connect with you.
Yeah, it's in September. It's Self Care September. And it's only for my email list. So you have to sign up to be a part of my email list. And you can find me at soulwanderlust _ on Instagram. There in the bio, you'll be able to sign up for my email list. And basically, it's everyday, like bite size information and support to take care of yourself better. And it's very non-traditional. I'm not going to tell you to buy bath bombs and take a bath. It's going to be all about reconnecting with your true self and really peeling off the layers of society and experiences and trauma. So taking care of yourself in a way that reconnects you with yourself.
Awesome. I'll leave links in the show notes for the audience members. Make it super easy to connect with Nasra. Nasra, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was such a pleasure to have you and to reconnect with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was so good to see your face and to be part in your energy. So I really appreciate it.
Awesome.